I never used to believe in skinwalkers. I thought they were just stories, just old Navajo legends meant to scare people away from the woods at night. But after what happened to me, I don't just believe in them. I know they're real. And if you're listening to this, I have one question for you. What would you do if you saw your own face staring back at you from the outside of your window? If you think you'd handle it better than I did, hit subscribe, because by the end of this story, you might just change your mind. It was late November when I took the job, a weekend gig, house sitting for a retired couple who had a remote property deep in the Arizona desert. Easy money, I thought. Just a few nights alone, watering their plants, feeding their 2 old dogs, and locking up at night. I was driving up there late on a Friday, about 9 p.m. The roads nearly deserted, just miles of empty highway, flat desert stretching on either side, the mountains dark shapes in the distance. No cell service, no gas stations, no houses. Just a single dirt road cutting off the main highway. A long, winding trail leading miles into the wilderness. That's when I saw something. At first, I thought it was just a deer, a figure standing at the edge of the road, barely visible in my headlights. But as I got closer, I felt my stomach tighten. It wasn't a deer. It was standing on 2 legs. Its skin was pale, stretched too tight across its body. Its arms were long, unnaturally so, fingers dangling past its knees, and its face. It was watching me. Not moving, not blinking, just standing there, facing my car as I sped past. I kept my eyes on the rearview mirror, watching it fade into the darkness. That was my first mistake. I should have turned around. By the time I reached the house, my nerves were still shot. I chalked it up to sleep deprivation, just my brain playing tricks on me. The house itself was old, isolated, with thick wooden walls and a wraparound porch. The couple who owned it had built it back in the 70s, but it felt even older. The moment I stepped inside, I noticed how quiet it was, the kind of silence that made your ears ring. I locked the doors, fed the dogs, checked every window before heading upstairs. I didn't hear the tapping until I was in bed. A light, rhythmic tap, tap, tap against the window pane. At first, I thought it was just a tree branch, but then I remembered. There were no trees outside my window. I sat up slowly, my heart hammering. The room was dark, but the window faced the empty backyard, miles of open desert stretching beyond it. I reached for my phone, but my hands froze when I saw it. A face, pressed against the glass. It was my own face. If you've made it this far, you're already hooked, but trust me, this story only gets worse from here. So before we continue, hit that like button if you'd never want to be trapped in the middle of nowhere with something pretending to be you. Comment below, would you stay the night in a house like this if you were paid $10,000? Let me know if you'd even survive until morning. I couldn't breathe. The face outside my window was mine. Same nose, same eyes, same short hair. But it wasn't me. The mouth was too wide, the skin was too smooth, almost plastic-like, the eyes empty, like they didn't belong to anything human. Then, it tilted its head, just slightly, as if it was studying me. I scrambled backward, nearly falling out of bed. My hand shot to my phone. I flicked on the flashlight, aiming it at the glass. And the thing vanished. Not ran, not ducked, just gone. My breath came in short, panicked gasps. I could still feel its stare, even though there was nothing there anymore. I didn't sleep. I sat in bed, back pressed against the wall, watching the window until the first slivers of morning light crawled through the blinds. When the sun was fully up, I finally forced myself to go outside. I needed proof. I checked the ground beneath my window. The desert sand was smooth, disturbed only by a single trail of footprints. Bare feet, too large, too long. The steps led up to the window, and then stopped. No return prints, no trails leading away, like whoever, whatever, stood there had just disappeared into thin air. I snapped a photo. My hands shook as I zoomed in. And that's when I saw it. A few yards away, near the edge of the property, stood a lone figure. It was watching me. I stayed inside for the rest of the day, locked every door, closed every curtain, even kept the dogs inside. By nightfall, I was exhausted. My body screamed for sleep, but my brain wouldn't let me rest. At exactly midnight, the noises started. First, It was the sound of footsteps on the porch. Slow, deliberate, heavy. Then, the doorknob rattled. A long, slow turn, testing the lock. I grabbed the closest thing I could use as a weapon, a fireplace poker, and crept toward the front door. My pulse slammed against my ribs as I peeked through the peephole. At first, I saw nothing. Just the dark porch, the empty desert beyond. Then, something stepped into view. It was me, standing there. I don't know how long I stared, paralyzed, my own face, blank and wrong, staring back. And then, it grinned. Its mouth stretched too wide, splitting ear to ear. I stumbled back, my breath hitched as I heard it. A voice. My voice. Coming from outside. Let me in. I stood frozen in the dark. The thing outside still looked like me, but its face was all wrong. Its grin stretched too wide, like someone had carved its mouth open from ear to ear. Then, it spoke again. But this time, it didn't just mimic my voice. It spoke like me, same tone, same hesitation. It even copied the way I breathed between sentences. Come on, man, just open the door. I know you're scared. I would be too. I gripped the fireplace poker so hard my knuckles turned white. I won't hurt you, it said, voice low. I just need to come inside for a second. The doorknob rattled. I backed away. My phone was upstairs. I needed to call someone, anyone. Then, the knock came. Not frantic, not aggressive, just steady, rhythmic. 3 knocks, a pause, 3 more. My stomach twisted. I had heard that knock before. A memory came crashing back years ago when my brother and I were kids. We had this secret knock. 3 knocks, a pause, 3 more. No one else knew it, no one. But the thing outside did. I bolted upstairs, 2 steps at a time. My hands were shaking so badly that I nearly dropped my phone as I dialed 911. A dull thud echoed from downstairs. I turned, heart hammering. The front door was still shut. But something felt different. The operator's voice came through the speaker. 911, what's your emergency? I barely breathed out the words. Someone is trying to get into my house. I don't know what it is, but it looks like me. A pause. Then, a strange static noise crackled through the line. The voice that came next was my own. Come on, man, just open the door. I dropped the phone. The sound didn't come from the speaker. It came from behind me. I spun around. The hallway mirror caught my reflection, but something was off. My reflection wasn't moving right. I took a step back. It took a step forward. I raised my arm. It did the same. But then it smiled. I didn't. The grin grew wider and wider until the skin at the corners of its mouth split open. Then, it turned its head, like it was looking at something behind me. A whisper brushed against my ear. She let me in. I turned. Nothing was there. But the air felt wrong. The house was too quiet. That's when I remembered. I had locked every door, every window, except the basement hatch. My stomach twisted. I turned and ran, raced down the stairs toward the basement door. The old wooden steps groaned under my weight. The door was wide open. The darkness beyond it wasn't normal. It swallowed the light from the hallway, like a pit stretching into nothing. Then I saw them. Footprints. Wet, bare footprints leading up from the basement. Coming inside. I wasn't alone. Something was already in the house. The police arrived 20 minutes later. They found no signs of forced entry. The doors were locked. The windows were shut. No one was inside. But the footprints were still there. They led from the basement to the front door, then stopped. Like whoever left them had simply vanished. The officers exchanged looks. One of them muttered something about sleep deprivation or stress-induced hallucinations. Maybe I had imagined it. Maybe. But there was one problem. They checked the basement. It was empty. But in the farthest, darkest corner, the dust had been disturbed. Like someone had been standing there, watching. And the air still smelled like damp earth and rot. As if something had crawled up from the ground. As if it had been waiting. And as I stood there, staring into the basement's darkness, I swear I heard something move. Something breathing. Something whispering my name. If you're still watching, I have to ask, what do you think really happened? Was it sleep deprivation, a stalker, or something else entirely? Would you stay in this house after what I experienced? Let me know in the comments. And if you love real horror stories like this, hit subscribe because next time, I'm telling you about a place even worse than this. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe the police were right. Maybe there was no one there. But at night, I still hear the knocking. And sometimes, when I pass a mirror, I see something that isn't quite me. Smiling. Waiting.